Had like horns tattooed on his head, right? And and it said like skin on the back of it. Like, he's a skinhead, and I'm black, right? So you would think that I'd be like scared, or maybe like big guy with tattoos and horns on his head, right? And somebody introduced, I was like, who is that guy? He's hot. Like, what's his name? And they're like, dude, he's a skinhead. I'm like, and? And I was like, he's not, what? And, you know, what's the problem? And they're like, yeah, that's demon, right? So that should have been another, like, indicator, maybe, like, skinhead named demon. And I remember I needed a place to go that night, right? And my dealer was like, well, where do you want me to drop you off? And I was like, well, I just made this new friend. He's a skinhead named Demon. And he looks at me and he's like, you know you're black, right? And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, he's like, and you want me to drop you off at a skinhead named Demon's house? He's like, yeah, it's not happening. But I'm relentless like that, and I found a way. So I ended up going to this guy at the house where he was staying at, and immediately we were like inseparable, right? And it was like some kind of screwed up Romeo and Juliet type weird, you know, like it didn't make any sense, but we were gonna do it anyway, like West Side Story or something. But yeah, I don't know how else to explain it. Like a new age West Side Story, I don't know. But 5 days we were inseparable, right? And it was all well and good or whatever. And again, you know, I was kind of flamboyant and kind of show-offish because, you know, I had a lot of drugs, a lot of money and whatever. But I mean, how stupid is that? Like at any point in time, this guy could have robbed me. I think I even asked him at one point. I was like, hey, if you're gonna rob me, can we just get this over with? Because, you know, it happens, right? And, but no, I mean, instant trust, whatever, it was cool. But within 5 days of meeting him, cops show up at the motel that we were at. Him, I, and my dealer. We were, actually I wasn't even in the room, I was outside the room. Cops show up, SWAT and everything, and I'm not even in the room, so I'm like, I'm good. Like, they didn't catch me with nothing. But they did, however, catch my dealer with something. And then this dude named Demon in my hotel room with like a pound of my drugs and like an ounce. It was a pound of meth and an ounce of heroin or something. It was bad. It was all bad. They took us all in, and I knew it was bad for me, but I knew it was worse for them because they both had prison priors. And so, you know, I was kind of like teetering on like, what did you? I mean, I'm not one to ever like let somebody else take the fall for me, but, you know, I mean, I didn't know how else to get out of it, right? So thank God for my conflict attorney, because he somehow managed to convince the judge, since this was my first time getting in like legal trouble. I had never been caught before, but since it was my first time getting in legal trouble, he's like, look, if she takes the blame for all this stuff, and, you know, we put her in a program, let's just give her this program, and if she, you know, give her an opportunity to change her life, is what he told him. You know, and the judge was like, okay, with the condition that if she screws up for anything, she obviously hasn't learned her lesson, so she's gonna go ahead and get her automatic 3 or 4 year prison term that she was gonna get anyway. And I'm like, so I'll take it, I'm going to do that. And so I was given that program in jail, and it's called the RSAT program, and it's like a residential substance abuse treatment program while you're in custody. And it was pretty great. It was like a program out here, but in jail, obviously, which I liked. I liked that I was doing constructive, so I'm gonna be in jail, you know, rather than coming out and doing it. And during my time in jail, I wrote both my co-defendants, my dealer and Demon, or whatever, and we were like riding back and forth, and me and Demon get all close, you know. And at one point, I could tell by his handwriting and everything that he was just fed up. You know, he's like, so I'm gonna go ahead and explain this to you. My grandmother is dying of cancer, and I'm in here, and I might not get out in time to see her. She was given 6 months to live, and at this point it had been like 4 or 5, and he was looking at 20-some years. So he was telling me, you know, that he had spent his entire life being a disappointment to his mother and grandmother, and all they've ever done is love him and support him. And so my response was the only response that I knew, which was, get on your knees and pray to God that you have the opportunity to be that guy that you need to be for them, And although that sounds all well and good, and that sounds like exactly what, like, good Christian girl's supposed to say, like at the time I wasn't walking that out. I just knew that that was what he needed to hear. But for me, I'm sitting in jail, and I had still not come to the point to where I wanted to admit that my life was unmanageable. I still thought I had a handle on things, you know what I mean? I was in complete denial. I'm in jail for crying out loud, and I thought I had it together. I don't know how that works, but I'm weird like that. But so the RSAT program that I was in was also offered to the men, right? Not together, but they had their own separate RSAT program. And theirs is located in a minimum security facility, right? So this guy Demon is telling me he's trying to get in there too. And like I said, minimum security. Dude's been in jail and prison for the last 20 years. He's about as high risk as it gets. They're not gonna allow him. They actually laughed, right? They laughed when he asked them if he could be transferred into RSAT. And usually RSAT's like open and available to anybody who wants help. It's supposed to be this program about change, changing your life and all that. They laughed at him and told him, there's no way, right? And so, I kept praying for him. I wrote all the appropriate letters to the right people, but still, on paper, dude looked pretty bad. His nickname's Demon. I probably wouldn't have let him in either, but it was crazy. I was again hoping and praying and telling him, hope and pray, but meanwhile, I'm again, not walking it out. Not walking it out in the way I should have been. Lovely Ruth Ann, who introduced me, she would come into the jails and I was listening to what she had to say, but I wasn't receiving it yet. Because I wasn't willing to hear it, you know what I mean? It was there, but it wasn't sinking in. I was still kind of on deaf ears, So it gets to be about a month before my release. And I realize that it's a month before my release, and I start to panic. I'm crying in the middle, in the corner of my cell, in the fetal position, bawling. And I was a worker for the guards in jail, and my deputy was like, "What is wrong with you? Are you okay? Is everything okay?" I'm like, "I'm getting out soon," and crying. She's like, "I've never seen that in my life." Who cries about being released? I was like, I just was in sheer panic because I knew I didn't want to go back, but I didn't know how. The last 12 years of my life, all I've done is drink and use and drink and use and drink and use. I had maybe a week sober, tops ever. Nor had I ever tried to be sober either though. I was just okay with being a functioning addict or whatever that means. And so, I don't know if that's a real thing, but, so yeah, I was panicking. I'm I have to be a functioning member of society and I don't even know what that means, what that looks like. Where do I start? My mom and I don't really get along very well as far as we do this a lot. We're not on the same page. And so I'm yeah, when I get released, I have a place to go, but guarantee you we're gonna get into it and I'm gonna go right back to what I know because that's what I know, I didn't know what that meant and I was in sheer panic. And then in my tears and my freak out, our mail comes under the door. And I got this letter from Demon. And what it said was, it was actually a really nice letter. It was "Hey, beautiful, how's it going? Just, sitting over here, you know how it is." And it just stops mid-letter, and I'm looking around, where's the rest of it? And then I see there's another page. It starts again. "Hey, beautiful, so I was writing you, and I was sitting in my cell in 31, and then somebody comes on my speaker," and for you guys who've never been to jail, there's a cell and there's a little speaker where the deputies talk to you, right? And he's someone comes on my speaker and says, "Byers, roll it up." And roll it up means pack up your stuff because you're going somewhere else. Either you're going home, which was not the case for him, or you're going somewhere else, right? And so I'm reading this and it's stamped with the jail stamp, inmate enclosed mail, so I know he didn't go home miraculously, right? But I'm just starting to smile because I'm continuing to read and he's "You will not believe it, but I'm in RSAT right now." Wow. Yeah. And so he's if I was ever wondering or ever had any kind of question about God, I believe now, because it was going to take a miracle for him to get in that program, right? So I got out of my little crybaby fetal position and was like, what am I worried about? He's an RSAT, God's got me, I'm good. Like, if you have faith, and I mean, obviously, like, even though I was talking the talk, I wasn't walking the walk, but he was walking it out the whole time. He was getting up every morning after he got that letter, praying to God. He was sitting there reading his Bible every morning. And I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Like, this dude named Demon actually like listened to what I had to say, prayed about it, right? And found comfort in Scripture. Maybe I should, practice what I preach. Thank you. Exactly. Thank you. So, I mean, that was just confirmation. Like, if God could get him into RSAT, which was like short of a miracle, then why, I mean, to doubt myself is to doubt what God could do in my life. And so I finally came to terms with that and, started to receive what Ruth Ann and Mandy and other people had to say. And I walked out of there with this like excitement and like this crazy like itch, like I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna do the next right thing, you know what I mean? I was released on October 28th, it was a Friday. This lady, Susie Hendricks, was in jail with me and she told me, she said, when you get out, she goes, you go to the journey. She's like, the only way we're gonna stay out of this place is through God. She's like, you go to the journey, they'll take good care of you, right? So I got out on a Friday, came here on a Sunday, and she was right. Any kind of anxiety or fear, I mean, I still had it, but like, most of it was gone. I mean, I got here and immediately, Ursula and Stacy, Miss Stacy,